Hello, everyone, and welcome to another great session on our last day of Learning Impact 2021. Thank you for joining us for today's session, Trusted Apps in K-12, Getting a Jump on Student Data Privacy. My name is Karen Daughtery. I am the K-12 Program Manager, and welcome to another great session on our last day of Learning Impact. I'm the K-12 Program Manager for IMS Global and work with our K-12 districts here as your host today. As the host, I'll be keeping an eye on that chat and that Q&A. We want you to participate, ask your questions, and get involved in the session. Today's session is going to be moderated by Dr. Tim Clark, and he is joined by 3 prominent district leaders. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Clark to get us started.
Thank you so much, Karen. So I'm thrilled about this presentation this morning and getting to share this information with you and having the chance just to get wake up in the morning and have my cup of coffee and chat with friends and colleagues like our panelists today. We're going to be talking about trusted apps in K-12, getting a jump on student data privacy. This is one of our most recent initiatives in IMS Global, all related to our data privacy standard. But we have been vetting applications in IMS Global for over 4 years and putting those vetting results within our product directory. So we have a lot to share with you today about the new Trusted Apps initiative. And we get to hear from 3 new members to IMS, or relatively new members to IMS within the last year, and actually our newest member in K-12, Osceola County Public Schools. So I'm going to turn it over to our panelists to introduce themselves. Let's begin with Jeff McCoy from Greenville County Public Schools. Jeff?
Hi, good morning. I'm Jeff McCoy, Associate Superintendent of over Academics here in Greenville County Schools in South Carolina.
Shana?
Good morning, everybody. I am currently serving as the Executive Director for Educational Choices and Innovation for Osceola County School. We sit right in the heart of Kissimmee and Disney. Our department serves choice for the entire districts, and then I have about 26 charter schools.
All right, and Kristy.
Good morning, everybody. I am Christy Sailors. I am the Interim Chief Technology Officer for the Eanes Independent School District in Austin, Texas. We've got 10 campuses and roughly 9,000 students.
All right, this is great. I'm glad that you are all able to spend some time with us this morning. People coming from all over the country, being able to chat about trusted apps. And when we think about student data privacy and creating an ecosystem within our public schools, we tend to have a core group of resources and platforms that make digital learning, virtual learning, and now just learning possible. And each district kind of has its own flavor of this. So typically a school district has kind of single sign-on portal, a learning platform, a learning management system, student information system to hold that student data. Learning object repository is often included in most districts, a place where they store all of their curriculum and instructional resources, productivity tools that enable teachers to create all kinds of collaborative presentations, things like that. And then also many districts have an assessment system to store the data from assessment and deliver assessments to students. And all of these resources together are interoperable through the IMS Global standards. So, and to make this learning possible. So I wanted to have a chance, and of course, districts have many more tools than this, but I wanted to give a chance to set some context and have our panelists share out the resources that they're currently using in their digital ecosystem, maybe even beyond this, but let's just go one at a time and find out more about the resources they have. Jeff, do you want to go ahead and talk to us about the digital learning ecosystem in Greenville County Schools?
Sure. So as Tim said, we have many more things that that are on this chart that I won't necessarily talk about, but some of our big tools that I think really form the foundation for our learning, both in the classroom and of course now in the new world of virtual. We've got about 77,000 students in our district. We have currently 3,000 students virtually that chose that option, about 3,500 now, I believe. It goes up a little bit every day. And so those tools have been critical for kids moving in and out of brick and mortar into virtual, kind of a seamless movement back and forth. And so we do have a single sign-on system we developed in-house. We are looking at another system currently to purchase to make that a little bit more manageable and easier, and also get us some analytics that we believe we need to have to really make decisions about software and implementations. Our learning management system really is, even though it's really not a learning management system, is Google for us. We do heavily use Google Classroom. We are moving to Canvas for our virtual school and for those teachers who may choose to do so. The state purchased that for us last year. So we're in a kind of an implementation phase with that currently, but we are heavy on the Google Apps side of presentations and docs, both administrative and teacher side. And of course, our student information system is PowerSchool, and that is state purchased as well. So that is something our entire state uses. We don't have much of a choice in that. The Learning Object Repository, which is really the crux for our teachers, we really have 3 of those. We use Discovery Education, Safari Montage, and Learning Explorer. And so that really does form the basis of our of our object repository that teachers use to build their lessons, again, both brick and mortar and in that virtual environment. And then I talked a little bit about productivity tools already. We're really heavy Google. We have also remediation and acceleration tools that we use software, of course. But our assessment system is Mastery Connect and TE21. We use that both for formative assessment and our benchmarks that occur 3 times a year. So we kind of look at this as one kind of full ecosystem of learning that starts from instruction and finishes with assessment, and of course everything in between that makes it all work, and behind the scenes with our technology department, who's amazing at keeping everything up and running and working interoperably. As Tim said, we're new to IMS, so we are still working with vendors. So we have a lot of legacy vendors that we'll be working with over the next couple of years who are not maybe IMS Global certified, that we will need to get IMS certified. So we have a little bit better integration, particularly for dumping all of our data into our district-built warehouse, so that we can kick out reports and use our dashboards to really identify where a child is specifically for their learning paths.
Thanks, Jeff. And I just wanted to point out that Jeff is on the academic side of the house, if we want to think about it that way. And yet you hear him talking about all of these instructional platforms and resources, and also leading out with IMS standards, open standards for interoperability in his district, and really having that understanding of why someone on the academic side of the house also needs to be informed about the implementation and use of these standards in order to facilitate learning with digital resources. And so he's really done an amazing job being a leader in academics for open standards. Open standards are for everyone, not just the tech experts. So I really appreciate that. And Jeff also took a lead in Trusted Apps, and I just wanted to share this out for the whole initiative. We did have the app vetting results stored within our product directory, and as many of you know, to see the detailed results, you have to have login credentials to the IMS product directory. And Jeff said, you have so much good information there, and it's also presented in a very appealing way. And he said that he wished that his teachers could see that information so it could help out in their app vetting process that they do internally in the district. And so he was one of the district leaders who came to us saying, I really wish that there was some way that you could present this information to teachers. And that's part of the reason why we came up with the Trusted Apps dashboard that we'll be talking about a little bit later. But right now, let's go and turn to Shana, and Shana can share with us the digital ecosystem for Osceola Public Schools.
Thanks, Dr. Clark. So I serve in a really interesting role because while in the district, I sit in teaching and learning. And so I'll talk a little bit about Osceola County and our district managed public schools and what our ecosystem looks like there. but I also oversee 1/4 of the students and 1/3 of the schools are charter schools in our district, which don't necessarily have access to those same components of our digital ecosystem. And so part of my role, because we have so many charter schools, is to create a parallel digital ecosystem for the charter schools, because they do represent a large percentage of our district grade, and their success is certainly the success of our district. So in Osceola County, our single sign-on is currently ClassLink. We are looking to add a parallel single sign-on for our charter schools within Microsoft. We are a Microsoft house, and so we're going to be calling that the Waffle. So we're going to be standing that up. That actually is where we want to put our trusted apps, so that everybody can have access to that. As far as our learning management system in Osceola, we are transitioning to Canvas currently. So we are dual operating right now in Teams as well as in Canvas as we are making that transition. Our student information system currently is Focus, and so it's very important. And our charter schools do integrate in the student information system, so they have full access to Focus. Actually, Canvas, they have to have access in some ways into Canvas as well. So it's this interesting traverse that we're undertaking. Our learning object repository here in Osceola County is moving towards Canvas. Currently, Safari Montage is also used in the district. And of course, we have a whole lot of productivity tools, but our main focus is our Microsoft. And then for our assessment system, we are using NWEA MAP. And then in each one of those categories, because we deal with numerous management companies for charter schools, they all, in many cases, have their own student information system. So, we're dealing with vendors from all aspects. Some of the charter schools are using Clever, some don't have their own single sign-on, some of them are using PowerSchool. It just is really important, at least in my role, to have an understanding of what everyone is using so that we can integrate. And in some cases, the charter schools do ask for our amazing technology department to write code so that they can have the integrations, not only in their own system, but in and between our digital ecosystem. So as if it isn't confusing enough, that's kind of where we are here at Osceola County.
Thank you. I know it's a huge challenge to put together all these tools, resources, and platforms made by actually many different vendors, some of them even competitive products, and actually trying to find a way to get them to integrate. And of course, the IMS open standards really can help with that and piecing together the ecosystem. How we work in K-12 is that our district members and statewide members, institutional members come to us and say, I wish that my platform would do this or support this standard. And then we work, and we hear that from a lot of the same districts, but they often don't know that other districts or other institutions, other states are experiencing those same issues. So we bring all of that information together, share it with the team, the technical team in IMS, but also we share it with the suppliers. And the good thing is many of these platforms and resources that you mentioned are also members of IMS Global as well. And I think that great thing about IMS is that we have suppliers sitting shoulder to shoulder with these institutional members and higher ed members, all sitting there trying to solve these issues about interoperability. And then I know that sometimes there are challenges. I did have a district come to me and say, NWEA MAP, as you were talking about, I wish it would support one roster better because it would make it a lot easier to roster the platform and move data from one system to another. And so that's something that we're working with too. So that's a way that we can support each other. We do hear these cases, and we put some transparency around the implementation of open standards. But I know that can be a big challenge. And Shana also has worked in other school districts throughout the year, so she's able to bring that expertise to Osceola. And always those lessons learned, it really helps as you go from one place to another. Speaking of that, Kristy, who's also been in other districts before Eanes. She was in Houston ISD, where our lead for app vetting and data privacy, Kevin Lewis, who's on my team in K-12, he worked with Kristy there for a long time in their app vetting work, and he leads up that work in IMS Global. But Kristy, go ahead and tell us about your digital ecosystem in Eanes ISD.
Thank you. This is my first year as the interim chief technology officer for the district. I spent the last 15 years as director of educational technology in the curriculum side of the house. So I've been in 3 school districts in the curriculum side of the house, and HISD I was in the IT side of the house. And then here at Eanes, I spent 2 years in curriculum, and this is my first 6 months in the tech department. So lots of experiences on both sides of understanding the needs and who needs what, when, why, and how from both perspectives. Here at Eanes, we have a little bit of everything. Our learning management system, though they're not learning management systems, really, we use Seesaw, Shobi, and Google Classroom. And trying to manage those and roster those and all of that information is really pushing us to streamline and to identify a K-12 single learning management system. We are a Google campus or a Google district, so everything that we have relies solely on the Google apps and the Google tools. We use Discovery Ed for our learning object repository. We are looking, just trying to identify what works best in our environment. We use 2 single sign-on options. We have Clever for some of our resources because not everything works with our other one, which is Rapid ID Auto. So we have 2 that we're trying to manage as well. And our student information system is Skyward. And then we use Eduphoria as our data warehouse sometimes, and then other resources. So we have, you name it, we probably have used it and or still use it. And that is part of the draw to get back with IMS Global, because we need to streamline our processes and we need to identify those resources that we get the most impact for, and that can be the easy management piece for the back end as well as the end user.
All right, Kristy, thank you so much. And Kristy also talked to us about how challenging it can be to do all of the app vetting for all of the resources that are currently being used in our district, and said this trusted apps is what we really need in Eanes ISD in order to better be able to make sure that the applications that we're using with students are safe and do protect their PII, and to make sure that we are in compliance with all of the federal laws that are passed regarding student data privacy. So let's talk a little bit about that process that is being used by each of the districts. And then, so let's just find out a little bit more and let's hear from them. So Jeff, do you want to talk to us a little bit about your current app vetting process in Greenville?
Sure. So as you said, Tim, we're kind of working on switching over to TrustEd Apps vetting with you guys, with the system we kind of helped put together and build with you guys. Prior to that, which really prompted that, which you mentioned a little bit already, is the district our size, 77,000 students. As most people will say, will tell you, in large districts, it's not always scalable to the number of people you have in small districts to large districts. And so a lot of times from our technology staff to our academic staff, we don't necessarily have any more people than sometimes smaller districts. I have 1 person for ELA secondary, and so on and so forth. And so even in the technology world, our app vetting was getting bogged down both on usually on the technology and security side, because they have a tremendous amount of work to do over there. And so vetting the resources, the many hundreds of apps that schools are submitting for review could easily take several months to complete those vetting process. And of course, by then teachers have forgotten about the app altogether because it was been so long ago. And so that's not a disparaging remark about the technology department. That's just the reality of the people they have to vet those things. And then of course, some of that also just going back and forth with attorneys from the company to our attorneys on what we will and won't allow, and data destruction and retention and all of those things that just kind of bog down our process. And so we really wanted something to streamline that process, where, as you said, teachers could first, before submitting something, look it up to say, oh, is it already approved? Or do we have other apps, for example, and we have several apps that sometimes teachers will replicate with other apps, but we've already got an app for example, polling students in the classroom. So we want you to use that app. So we want a system that we're really kind of streamlined before teachers submitted to look and vet to say, oh, well, we've already got this, I'll use this instead. Or an app they look up and see that we've already disapproved it for data privacy concerns or data retention concerns or whatever happens to be, so that teacher doesn't even submit it to begin with. So really, we're just trying to streamline the process so it doesn't take 3, 4, 5, 6 months to get something approved, and reduce that time really down to a manageable time for teachers who we want to innovate in the classroom and engage students, but we want to do that in a timely and safe manner as well.
All right, thanks. Shana, what's the app vetting process in Osceola?
So I think that over the past 18 months, this is the COVID pandemic has shined a very bright light on our process, where maybe it wasn't as important previously to have a really streamlined process. We absolutely found that we needed one in the past 18 months, because when everybody went home, every provider came out of every corner and were offering free trials, and like we were throwing everything up against the wall to see what would stick. But the question always came behind, but wait, is that approved? Is that safe? We had all of those questions. So in Osceola County, we have a software committee that meets periodically and spends a lot of time answering a lot of the questions that the trusted app process would already have answered. And just like Jeff said, our process does start with the software committee, but then there is procurement and legal, and it does really extend the process. And so my thought on it is it's going to save a whole lot of time, energy, effort, which is really, cost in people's time, to have some of these pieces already taken care of in the vetting process. And that's not even to answer, we of course have, are the apps effective, and are they easy to use or aligned with what we need? But at least that data security, safety, student data piece would be covered, to eliminate the sometimes, as Jeff said, 3, 6 or more timeline in months before something can be used.
Thank you for that. I think that probably for a lot of our attendees to this presentation, they're thinking, wow, it's almost therapeutic to actually hear that other districts are going through some of these same pain points that you are, and realizing that there can be some solutions. So I know that people really probably are appreciating hearing this information being shared. Kristy, tell us about your process at Eanes.
Sure. It's party of one right now. It used to be me till 6 months ago, and now it's my new director of educational technology. We have a rubric that we put together, and we have 2 directors in the curriculum department, K-12. One does humanities and one does science and STEM. So we are a limited staff. The Trusted Ed dashboard is saving us so much time, and will continue to save us time, because I know Kevin Lewis. I know his vetting and what the committee there at IMS put into that. They're looking at the technical. They're looking at the safety and security. They're looking at the privacy. They're looking at all of the things that take so much time for us to do during our vetting process. It's me. I get a request from a teacher. I have to download the app. I have to read the terms of service. I have to read the privacy statement. I have to determine what they're collecting. I have to test it on an iPad. Does it work on my elementary iPad? All of those things, the technical pieces, IMS and the Trusted Ed App Dashboard is going to do for me. The pieces that our community has asked us to make sure that we review is the user-generated content, keyword searches, clip art, does it link advertisements, things like that. That, in partnership with the Trusted Ed Dashboard, I can do, and I can do that relatively quickly. If there's an advertisement, I'm going to see it in the app sooner rather than later. but I refer back to the dashboard to see who else is using it, who else has approved it, who else has denied it. And if it's already denied there, I'm probably not going to find anything in it that I want to use either. So using and referring to and having my teachers go to the TrustEd dashboard before they even put in their request saves everybody a lot of frustration. So if they can quickly look and say, yes, it's been denied, then they can find something else, or we can do the, yes, it's been denied, but this one is what we are recommending that has comparable resources. So it is a lifesaver. It's going to be amazing for us. I am just grateful for the time that I'm going to get back because I can refer to the dashboard to start my work.
Thank you for sharing that. And yes, again, we've heard that it's very challenging. Many districts are sharing their app vetting information currently on we've heard some districts have a very comprehensive process and it takes a very long time to approve an application. But then also we've heard about districts just maintaining a shared spreadsheet and it has to be checked off by multiple people throughout the district that are looking at different perspectives as we've heard. And it can take a very long time to approve an application for teacher use. So this was part of what the TrustEd Apps initiative was meant to solve. And in addition, though, we've heard from some of our institutional members who have said that just even as an administrative tool, they don't even have the launch for teachers yet, but just even as an administrative tool, it's very helpful to have all of that information from different departments all being stored within the dashboard of TrustEd Apps. So think about how you could utilize it within your institution, and remember that it is available for affiliate and contributing members of IMS Global for them to use as one of their member benefits. And we can talk a little bit we'll talk a little bit later about how it can be launched and accessed for your institution if you're an attendee who happens to be participating in our session today. And speaking of that participation, we welcome questions from our attendees. Make sure that you just go ahead and add them into the question or the chat function inside of the CVent platform. Karen will be sharing out those questions with us and we're happy to address those. We do have a Q&A time, but anytime along the way, if you have any questions, just let us know. What I'm going to do right now is show you a little bit, some screenshots of our TrustEd Apps dashboard, and then explain a little bit about how it works. Again, we had institutional members giving us feedback along the way, and the technical team at IMS was completely amazing, and I really want to give them a shout out. They turned this around so quickly and develop the dashboard. We also have had many suppliers interested in ingesting the data in their systems, so that it could be utilized along with all of the other bells and whistles that they can provide districts through their platform. So we'll be sharing out some information about that too. But just giving you a high level overview of the TrustEd Apps dashboard, it does what it says. It takes the information from our product directory and pulls it into our compatibility check platform. And then there is a section there, an incompatibility check, just to let you know, there is a section for one roster check where you can check your one roster file from your student information system and also run comparisons from your suppliers for one roster, so you can make sure that your one roster integrations work right every time, so you can be digital on day one. We also have a common cartridge check so that you can check to make sure that the metadata that comes from your publishers and your academic resources is all there as you wanted, even alignments to case. You can check through that common cartridge check. And then we also have access to the TrustEd Apps dashboard. And through the dashboard, you can see this is the teacher view. There's a place to showcase the applications that have been approved, preferred, and actually this word banned has already been changed to denied, and that again came directly from our institutional members who requested that change. They can mark which applications are preferred, approved, or denied. They can also click in and review which applications have earned the Trusted Apps seal, which means that they have met expectations in all areas of the rubric. And through the vetting process, you can see which ones have instructional notes about the resources, which ones have technical notes, and we've really refined that over time. So then a teacher is also able to review all of those applications that have already been approved for use by the district. They can also suggest an app, or they can also see the other applications that are in the IMS catalog in case they are thinking about utilizing an application in their classroom. They can see if it's already been vetted and ask their district to consider it. So as I mentioned before, you can see when you drill in a little further and you look at an application, you can see its IMS membership. You can see that it's been preferred as a district. You can see what other standards it has already been certified in. Then we can see the app vetting results. And again, very teacher friendly. We can see that this is GDPR compliant, FERPA, COPPA compliant, and approved for children under 13, according to the data privacy policy. And we also have easy links back to the terms of service and the privacy policy. I think it was Kristy who was saying how she has to open up each one of those from a website on her own to review them. We use in our team the app vetting rubric, Trusted Apps rubric, which was collaboratively designed, like all of the other IMS standards, collaboratively designed with institutional members, higher ed members, K-12 members, statewide members, and suppliers, all contributing to the development of the rubric to make sure that we're bringing in all this expertise from all these institutions and all these suppliers, their legal counsel, to really look at the rubric and make sure that we can agree on the questions that the rubric is asking. And the rubric focuses in 4 main areas: data collection, security, third-party data, and advertising. So we review those. And again, let me just highlight here that we review the free version of the application, which is typically what the data privacy policy is talking about. Of course, a district may have their own data sharing agreement, which could override that for the district, because you know that within a data sharing agreement, you might eliminate advertising from the application. And so that kind of information might be helpful for the district to put in the technical notes so that teachers can see that, but also some information about, does it work on iOS devices? What kind of browser supports it? You know, all of that information they might want to put within their technical notes. And then instructional notes. This was a great add-on by the IMS team because in this way, you're able to share it with the instructional department, teaching and learning department, by subject area. They can put links to lesson plans, ideas, and strategies for utilizing the application or the program for instruction. All can be included in the instructional notes as well. Again, I mentioned that it is within our compatibility check dashboard, which is a member benefit of IMS Global. And as you see exactly where the Trusted Apps dashboard is accessible from compatibility check, and then the details for connecting it. So I did give you some information that it was LTI 1.3. I'm going to hear from our members or our panelists right now about where they would like to launch this from. So currently the requirements for launching this, yes, it requires certification to LTI 1.3. That enables those teacher credentials to pass through so that we know that a teacher or the end user is accessing the platform, and we get the right teacher with the right district showing the right instance of the dashboard. And so it requires that that the application is certified at LTI 1.3. We also have a requirement that if an application is launching the Trust Apps dashboard, that they are a contributing member of IMS Global, and they've signed our Standards First pledge, which again is just confirmation of the support for open standards. It's not a legal document. It's available from our website, imsglobal.org/standards first. And it's just confirmation and support for open standards. And that expresses to institutions, when you're a supplier, it expresses to institutions, when you sign it, that you support open standards. And when you're an institution that signs it, it shows that your suppliers, your potential vendors, that you are supporting open standards as well. And it's an expectation in your district for them to be supported. So just to let you know, if you're a supplier and you're attending this session, what it takes to launch it, and if you're an institutional member, what you need to ask for from your suppliers. So Jeff, where are you thinking of launching Trusted Apps from?
So currently for us, we're looking, since the state bought for us Safari Montage across the state. And I know our state department's a little bit involved with IMS now as well, working with you guys. So, for us, while they are giving some choice around that, we're looking at most likely launching it from our Safari Montage system. And down the road certainly could be Canvas as well if we do a full implementation of Canvas, but right now looking at Safari.
And I just wanted to give a shout out to South Carolina at this time. South Carolina is the first state that's done this. South Carolina acquired affiliate level membership for all of the districts in the entire state, so that they would be able to utilize Trusted Apps and collaborate in this work together. And we do have 5 contributing members already from districts in South Carolina. South Carolina itself is a contributing member of IMS Global, but we were really excited to have all of the other districts in South Carolina join as affiliate members. And Safari Montage also worked really hard in a short amount of time to become LTI 1.3 certified. They're already a contributing member of IMS Global and have signed the Standards First Pledge. They worked really hard to get LTI 1.3 certified so that the districts, all of their customers, but especially the districts in South Carolina, would have that launch point from Safari Montage. Shana, where are you considering launching your instance of Trusted Apps?
So we really need Trusted Apps to be located in a bridge type of a site. So I really want this to be a resource for our charter schools, because they are actually outside of the locus of control of teaching and learning, where our teaching and learning department is developing curriculum unit plans and scope and sequence documents and approving their own applications and resources. The charter schools need some guidance. We really want to provide them with a resource to make sure that the things that they're choosing for their students are safe and effective. So because the charter schools don't have access to our single sign-on system, we are planning on standing up Microsoft and what we're going to be calling the Waffle. So it'll be, in essence, a SharePoint site where not only Trusted Apps will be located, but also many of the other applications that the charter schools, we either would have shared access or unique access, but we also need for our district schools to be able to access the information. So Microsoft seems to be a really great bridge location to be able to house the information.
Thank you for sharing that, and I appreciate the shout out. We've been having some conversation with Microsoft because we've had other institutional members say that they would like to be able to launch Trusted Apps from Microsoft. So we are having conversation, and then that's the way we get things to happen. So I appreciate that. And Kristy, where are you considering launching Trusted Apps?
Right now it's in our dashboard that's hosted through Rapid Identity or ID Auto. And we just chose that location because our teachers are already used to going there to get their textbooks, going there to get their software, going there to get into the resources that the district provides to them. So we made that one of the main shortcuts, if you will, or applications that are available on their main dashboard.
All right, and also I appreciate that. Rapid ID also has been a great contributing member of IMS Global, and I know that they're working now to develop their launch, their certification in LTI 1.3, partially because of Eanes ISD and wanting to make sure that they meet the needs of that district as well as some of their other customers. Just one other thing here, there is a place for you to put the app suggestion contact email address in the setup. and also some welcome notes. This is where you can tell your teachers how the dashboard works, what you want the teachers to look for in technical instructional notes. And every time a teacher suggests an app, it goes to that email address from the district. It could be a shared email address among the technical team or the instructional team or some other team in the district. And they can also inform IMS that an application needs to be vetted. We currently have multiple districts who have shared with us their entire catalog of applications so that they would like us to go ahead and get started on vetting those. So we've been working rapidly through that list. Currently, we have between 6,000 and 7,000 applications that have been vetted in the IMS product directory. So now they are available within Trusted Apps. And again, many of those recommendations came from our member base, but we also vet non-member applications. And a lot of these requests came directly from our institutional members. Also, I wanted to say that we have a couple of partners in Trusted Apps who have taken the next step. They said, we would love to ingest all of this data within our platforms and also highlight some of the other information they're able to do within their platform, such as analytics about usage and things like that. So currently, Catch On is utilizing Trusted Apps data and pulling it in within their platform. And Learn Platform has recently joined on, and they are developing out the ability to pull in Trusted Apps data in their platform as well. So we really appreciate these partners that are making it available to their customers that are also members of IMS Global. And I just wanted to show you a little bit about the process for requesting. So when a teacher says there's an application I want to use, they have a form they complete, and this is what they would submit within their district so that they could have that application reviewed. So I know that we probably have some questions out there. Karen, do we have something that we need to go over with our panelists? It's our time for Q&A.
There are no questions that have come in from our participants, but guys, the chat is there as well as the Q&A. Feel free to open up that panel on the right side of your screen, type away, let the panelists know what questions you have. I guarantee you, you're probably not the only one with a question. But as of right now,
no worries.
Nothing is in there.
All right, no worries, because I had a lot of questions. I just wanted to make sure. We only have about 3 minutes left. So I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't ignoring any of our attendees and not giving them the chance to ask their questions. One thing I wanted to ask all of our panelists is, we've had some conversation about ways that we can get change to happen regarding open standards. What kinds of final words would you have or advice would you have for either a district or for maybe a supplier when it comes to data privacy or some of the work involved? Jeff, anything you would like to share?
Well, and I was going to mention right before you said that, I think Kristy and Shana touched on it a little bit already, is that, I think the power with this, where we're heading, just because I think that we've already talked about more enhancements in the future with this TrustEd Apps as a team. And one of the things I'm most excited about is the crowdsourcing ability. There are a lot of times we love our vendor partners that are constantly innovating. Sometimes those innovations cause us some great grief and headaches. For example, adding a chat feature to a program that we have purchased or that we have already vetted and using, and all of a sudden that becomes a huge issue where students are sharing information they should not be sharing on that or doing things they should not be doing on that. So, that's one great thing about the future, and what this is, a crowdsourcing app, so to speak, is that we can communicate with our vendors and each other very quickly to hopefully head off some of those challenges sometimes we fall into currently.
I'd like to add on to what Jeff just said and have this thought about not only vetting all of the apps for safety and security, but also having a feature that would add in effect sizes similar to what you would find in evidence for ESSA, the What Works Clearinghouse, or Hattie's Visible Learning. Because I think that when we're talking about both on the technology and the instructional side, that both of those components are really important. And then districts could still make their choices and their decisions on what's aligned or what really suits their needs the best, what kind of fits into their thematic units, et cetera. But I would like to challenge IMS to kind of think about that crowdsourcing and getting input from members on that side of the house.
Sounds great. Kristy, I think you're going to have the final word. I do think that there were some questions in the chat, but we might not actually have time. But go ahead.
I have a list of things that I would like the app vendors to do for us to make it easier, but I'm going to let Dr. Clark answer the question that we just received because I think it's a very good question.
All right. Karen, you want to?
Absolutely. We have a question that says, what are your key roadmap for trusted apps over the rest of the year? Anybody want to take a stab at that?
So if you're asking from me, I know that we have some functionality planned as far as searchability. We would like to be able to search by grade level, by subject area, by tool use. I know that those are some plans in our roadmap, but I do know that at this point, we're just really thinking about how we can better meet the needs of our members. And also that includes our supplier members as well. So I know that we have a lot of suppliers that would like to utilize this data within their platforms too. So we want to do whatever we can to make sure that it meets the needs of our institutional members. It's a good baseline for data privacy app vetting program. We know that we have many districts that are still going to just use this as a baseline and do many other things. We do have some plans for sharing of dashboards with other districts too, because we have had some statewide members. Very recently, we had a regional education center in Georgia, Northwest Georgia, RESA, join. They have 17 districts that work with them. So they have one dashboard that they're working on all together. And I know that they would like to maybe join some of those districts join individually so they can use it with their teachers, and they would like to copy the dashboard that they're working on collaboratively in their RESA. So we're having that ability as well on the roadmap. But everything else, I guess, is just going to be a tease, and you'll have to wait and see because we are really out of time in our session. So I'm just going to throw it back over to Karen to wrap it all up. But I want to say thank you to all of our panelists. If you have any questions or you would like to chat with any of them, just let us know at IMS K-12 team, or you can reach out to them directly. But we're happy to collaborate with you in this work.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tim Clark, and to the 3 fabulous K-12 leaders on our panel. Thank you to our attendees for joining us. Be sure to check out the rest of the sessions that are taking place throughout today as we wrap up another great learning impact. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you guys around.